Hello, I'm Liv Cruzette. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're returning. My last video was talking about the dark night of the soul, which is what happens right before you go through, a big spiritual awakening shift. We're constantly evolving and shifting and changing, but sometimes there's just really big ones that happen, and a lot of the times this is preceded by a darkness of the soul. So I will link that below so you guys can watch that and see, the signs that you're going through that. And in this video, we're gonna actually talk about the signs that you're going through a big spiritual awakening and ascension. And I'm super excited to share these with you guys. First off, let's talk about what a spiritual awakening is. And just as I mentioned earlier, we're constantly evolving and changing, but a lot of the times there's just these huge shifts where you're evolving and you need to kind of shed a lot of these old ways of thinking and things that you've been conditioned your entire life and move into this newer, higher vibrational frequency. And a lot of it can be very intense because you are shifting into such a higher vibrational frequency, especially with these big shifts. It can cause physical symptoms, it can cause mental symptoms. There's a lot that goes with it because you are going through so much to reach this higher vibrational frequency. So let's start talking about the symptoms that you could be experiencing. And these are only some of them. There's many, many more. Do your research online, watch other videos. I'm sure there's many others that people are going through, and you might not be experiencing all of these and still be going through a spiritual awakening. I personally have not experienced all of these, and I will talk about the ones that I've personally experienced. So the first one is synchronicity. And this is something that definitely happened to me, but first I'm gonna talk about what synchronicity is. So Carl Jung is actually the one who brought us the term synchronicity, and synchronicity literally means falling together in time. Synchronicity usually describes when some type of thought in your mind or a dream later on represents itself in your current life. And these are signs, these are the signs the universe is giving you. So that's what synchronicity is. There's kind of a well-known story that Carl Jung had this patient who came in and he was having a really hard time giving her psychotherapy because she was a very rational person. He really realized she needed to, get more in touch with a lot of the more human aspects of who we are. And what happened is she actually had a dream about a golden scarab. And then shortly after that, Carl Jung actually said he heard a little kind of clicking on the window. So he opened the window and in came in a scarab, and he goes, well, here's your sign. That to him was synchronicity. And that's kind of where part of this term came from, was, he really realized that there's things that we dream or, think that then present themselves in real life situations. And again, those are things that we should try to make ourselves more aware of. And examples of this are seeing 11:11 all the time. That's something that happened to me. I don't check my watch or the clock. I don't really wear a watch, but I don't look at the time very often. I think ever since I quit my corporate job, I just have no reason to be like, oh, what time is it? So I forget all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, sun's setting. Can't believe it's that time. So I don't look at my phone that often, but almost every time it's 11:11, whether it's AM or PM, I'm somehow looking at my phone at that exact moment. And that's a sign the universe is trying to tell you, like, you are on the right path, like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, these are signs from the universe, so you should really be paying attention to those and notice those. So these are, these can come up in a lot of different things, maybe even different numbers for you, but 11:11 was a really strong one for me that came up. Thinking of someone and then having them call, or hearing a song that just really resonated with something that I was going through and it felt like it was talking directly to me. The next one, something that happened to me right after actually my first astral projection, is I was outside taking my dog, and it was early in the morning. There wasn't very many people out on the street, and there was no one even close to me actually. And I heard my name being called like right behind me, and I was just like, I looked back, no one was there. I looked around, no one was really around. I thought of stopping the next person who came by and asking them if they heard it, but I was like, it literally sounded like it was right behind my ear. It's like, that is so weird. And I thought about it and I was like, wow, that's the universe talking to me. Like, you are on the right path, you're doing the right thing. It was shortly after I quit my corporate job. It was just a sign to me. So that's part of it. Maybe you'll hear voices, hear your name being called. A lot of the times it is specifically hearing your name being called and no one's around. You can even be in your apartment by yourself and you feel like your name is being called. So don't be scared if that happens. It's most likely the universe or a spirit guide or someone trying to tell you, you're on the right path, or it's a sign of something, basically. Another big one, and I think I don't hear about very often, but was something I was really struggling with, was just chronic fatigue. I was constantly tired, constantly lethargic. And for me, like, I'm someone who typically has a lot of energy, doesn't need a lot of sleep, doesn't, take naps, but I was sleeping like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a night, plus taking a nap during the day. So just really tired, just physically exhausted. And it's not like I changed any of my habits from like eating or working out, my physical activity. I wasn't changing anything. I was constantly tired. So that's another one, and an important one, and give yourself space if that is happening. Something you can do to combat this is actually do energy replenishing meditations or energy replenishing visualizations. So I'm not gonna dig too deep into that, but you guys can read more about that online or find something on YouTube, I'm sure. And that's a good way to combat that. And just give yourself space and patience, and know that it's because you're going through this extreme vibrational change, and that's gonna have physical effects on your body. So just be patient with yourself. Oh, another thing you can do to combat this as well is work with different crystals. So amber, ruby, clear quartz, garnet, carnelian, just to name a few. So there's a lot of crystals out there that can help with energy. So, do some energy work focusing on those crystals. Another sign you are going through a spiritual awakening is that you start to trust the universe a lot more. You start having a lot more positive attitude and just kind of trust that everything is gonna work out. And this is something that definitely happened for me. I just started believing that everything was gonna work out, that I was in the right place, especially after all these synchronistic signs. Start worrying way less and just being more happy, being in the moment, because all we do have is right now in this moment, and you start realizing that, and that's a big one. And it's such a good feeling. For me, I've always battled depression, and it was such a good feeling to just kind of let go of that, shed that, and just be happy, be in the moment, and just trust that the universe has my back, because the universe does have my back. And if I'm, aligned with my path and my passions, everything is gonna work out. So that's another really good one. Another one is new lifestyle choices. So you may just not feel as interested in the things that you used to. So drinking less, smoking less. Guys, I just had another synchronistic thing. Right as I was looking at the camera, I don't look at the time normally. I kind of try to look where it would look like I'm making eye contact with you, and it was 11:11. Like, this happens to me constantly. One of my first videos, I ended up making it, and it ended up being 11 minutes and 11 seconds long. So it's crazy how often it comes up, not even just looking at my clock, just weird random things where 11:11 comes up. Whew. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So lifestyle change. So, you don't feel like you want to drink as much. This happened to me. You may feel like smoking weed isn't serving you a purpose anymore, or smoking, I guess, cigarettes. For me, it was, smoking weed. I realized it wasn't serving me for what I needed right now in my life. It may have served me in the past. Look, I'm not against weed, but it wasn't serving me in where I was currently in my spiritual journey, so I completely stopped smoking weed. Another would be, maybe you're not feeling like doing drugs anymore. It's not what I experienced, but it may be one for you. And then eating healthier, or maybe even feeling drawn to vegetarianism or veganism. I've been vegan for 8 years, but that was part of one of my first spiritual awakenings. You can go through many in your life, there's not just one, but one of my first 8 years ago was when I did go vegan, and I had a lot of these symptoms back then as well. And just wanting to live a healthier lifestyle, and really feed your soul and your body with positive, light food, and food for your soul and your body. So that's another big one. Another would be meditating more. You're feeling drawn to meditating more. You may even in some ways want to be alone a little bit more, because you want to really reflect and take in everything that's kind of going on, and be meditating. Another one may also be that you may be reacting differently to the things that you used to do all the time. So for me, food, even though I was vegan, I just recently started feeling like I needed to eat a lot healthier food, because the foods I was eating were just really not sitting well with me anymore. And I would be fine before, and now all of a sudden they just weren't sitting well with me anymore, and didn't make me feel good, and really kind of forced me to want to eat healthier and be healthier. So that could be one as well. Another amazing one that I really love is you have much more of a sense of oneness with yourself, nature, the world, your friends, everyone. You feel just this oneness, like we are one. And that's a big one. Another, and this could be a little, bit of a negative effect as well, is you may start getting sickness or infection. And again, this is just some of the physical consequences of raising that vibrational frequency. It does put physical strain on your body. So you may be having sickness. It's a lot more noticeable in the summer because you don't usually get sick in the summer, but maybe harder to tell in the winter. So if you're sick in the summer, this could be a reason why you may be going through a spiritual awakening. You may also find that you're becoming more sensitive to others' energies and moods. So this is something that's kind of always happened in my life because I've always been a highly sensitive person / BPD for, the people who know the kind of more technical terms for it, being super, super empathetic. For me, I've always had this, but for some of you, it may be new to have this just feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm just drained at the end of the day because I've just been soaking in all these negative energies of other people and it sticks to you. And, it's really powerful to do visualizations and meditations on, clearing that energy. Have sage, rub it all over you when you come home so that way, you can kind of release some of that energy, meditate it away. I talked about a visualization practice you can do that I learned from my friend Ankke. Do that visualization practice so that way you can kind of, rid yourself of that energy and be, changing that negative energy into positive energy. It's really important to do and will make a huge impact on others and the energy around you. That is all the reasons I have for you today. Like I said, there's many other symptoms that you could be going through in a spiritual awakening. There's more physical, there's more mental, there's a ton. I don't want to make this video 45 minutes long, so I'm gonna end there. But I would love if you guys shared in the comments some of your symptoms that you've had or some of the things that you've been going through during your spiritual awakening. And I would love to hear those. So comment, like, subscribe if you're enjoying this content. I would love to continue making it. So please let me know that you're enjoying it. And thank you so much. Love and light and peace to you all.